All right, this one I'm going to do a little bit different, a little bit faster. So I'm just going to go through and kind of give you some hints on how to do these problems. It says, which inequality describes all the solutions to this one? So basically you're just solving for x, but be careful because there's an inequality. You see how there's x's on this side and this side? That cannot happen. You need to do the opposite of x, move it to that side. When you do that, then it should be a one step that you should be able to solve. So keep going, see what you get. Number 10, what is the slope of the line represented by this? This is standard form. Standard form does not show you the slope. You have to get it in slope-intercept form. Remember the steps? Put a box around the y, do the opposite of x, and move it to the other side. So that's going to give you negative 3y equals. The opposite of x will be negative 2x. We're keeping the minus 24. All right. Then you need to divide exactly by this. That's with the y. You're going to be dividing everything by negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, and then see which slope you get. It says Uber Eats charges $7 for delivery plus 75 cents per mile. That's how you know that's your slope. 75 cents x. That's per mile. But don't forget they also charge $7 for delivery. When Pedro got the total for his food, it was less than $20. That means this total was less than 20. Which of the following could not represent the number of miles that the driver had to drive to get to Pedro's house? So we are solving for x because it was 75 cents per mile, and it says which of the following could not represent the number of miles? So we're solving for miles. We're going to minus 7 from there and there. We get 0.75x is less than 13. Divide by 0.75 on both sides. That could be tricky, so use your calculator. Put in 13 on top, 13 divided by 0.75. See what you get. Now remember, this answer is less than 17.3. So that means the answer could be, they want not. So which of these is not less than 17.3? We need everything this is less than 17.3. This is less. This is less. The only one that's not is 18. All right. Another way to do this one is to think. The total was less than 20. And then most people say, okay, well, they charge $7 for delivery. So if the total was less than 20 minus the 7, we get 13. Take your 13 and then divide it by 0.75. Notice that's what we did here. And you're still going to get 17.3. That's not 17.3. 17.3. So which of these is less than 17.3? It would be answers, but the one that's not less is C. Looking at 12. Ramon has a certain number of nickels and dimes in his pocket. Choose the function which shows that the number of nickels N and the number of dimes D Ramon has in his pocket results in a total value of $40.50. Keyword here, total value. That means it should be equal. Your total always goes after the equal. Total of $40.50. However, in the front, notice we're dealing with nickels. Some people get confused. Nickels should be 0.05 and dimes is 0.10. So 0.05 has to be paired up with the N because that's nickels. 0.10 has to be paired up with D, that's dimes. And remember what your total should be equal to, $40.50. This says your total is $405. That's not right. This says the total is $40.50. That could be right. Definitely not that one. Oh, it could be this one too. Is your total $40? No, it said $40.50. So we need to figure out which one of these is correct. This looks like it says the same thing. Be careful. 0.05 N, 0.05 N, 0.05 N, plus 10. Look at that. That's not the same thing. That says Q. Q would be talking about quarters. This problem didn't say nothing about quarters. It was talking about dimes. Moving on. Solving for H again. Distribute. Yes, don't call me after midnight. D stands for distribute. You better distribute. Multiply, multiply. 3 times H is 3H. 3 times negative 4 is minus 12. Bring down a negative 15. Finish solving it by adding 12 to the other side. We get 3h equals, be careful right here, that's negative 15 plus 12. That should not equal 27. It should not equal negative 27. That should be negative 3. Divide both sides by 3. H equals negative 1. Over here, notice we got x's on the left and x's on the right. We need to move all of them to the left. So minus 2x minus 2. That should be what left over. I want you to finish that one yourself. See what you get. Which of the following functions represents a line which is perpendicular to the line shown on the graph? If you are if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down for your notes. If you're taking your extra credit notes at home, perpendicular slopes, remember there's two rules. The first rule is one must be positive and the other slope is negative. And then the other rule is the fraction must be flipped. Please write that down for your notes. However, if you look at this, we got to find the slope first. So figure out what m equals. There's a couple of different ways. I see a perfect point here, and a perfect point here, and a perfect point here, and a perfect point here. I'm going to use rise over run. Down how many over how many? Down how many over how many? Since we're moving down, then to the right, it's definitely negative. Down 1 to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. Negative 1 over 2. Negative 1 over 2 is the slope of this one, but you need the perpendicular slope. What are the two key words? Perpendicular lines must be opposite, reciprocal. All right? So we're looking for opposite, which means if this slope is negative, you should not choose another one that's negative if we're talking about perpendicular. So don't choose that one. Don't choose that one because those both have negative slopes. No, we need it to be opposite. And we need it to be opposite, but we also should have taken this and flipped it. And it should now be 2 on top, 1 at the bottom. 2 on top over invisible 1 at the bottom. That should be your answer. Okay? This says, what is the slope of any line that is perpendicular? Once again, they're talking about perpendicular to this one. This one, you cannot find the slope that's perpendicular until you get it in slope-intercept form. So steps again, box the y, move the opposite of x over here. 6y equals 18 minus 3x, divide by 6, divide by 6, divide everything by 6. So that would be y equals 18 divided by 6 is 3. Negative 3 over 6 should be reduced to negative 1 over 2. So that's negative 1 over 2x. So we're looking for something that's, remember, perpendicular means if this slope is negative, do not also choose another negative because perpendicular means it must be the opposite sign. And if this is 1 over 2, we need to flip it to make the 2 on top, 1 at the bottom. Answer is D for that one. Which of the following functions represents a line which is, they switched your brain. Make sure you switched your brain. Parallel to this one. Do you know the slope of this one? You may not, which means once again you should probably use stat edit, or some people use delta y over delta x. It's increasing by 3, increasing by 3, increasing by 3. Over here it's increasing by 1, by 1, by 1. So the slope is delta y over delta x, 3 over 1. So if the slope is 3 over 1, remember the rule for parallel? Please write this down if you're taking your notes. Parallel slopes are the same exact slope. The same exact. 3 over 1, which means this is the only one that has a 3 over invisible 1. This 3 is at the bottom. That's not what we want. We want the 3 on top. This is negative. No, that's not what we want. Same exact slope means if this one's positive, you better be choosing the positive one. Same thing here. Number 16. Which graph represents? We can't find the graph until we get this in slope-intercept form. So we need to find the equation that's equivalent to this one. However, I think they're trying to trick you. Make sure you box the y. It's in a different spot, but make sure you have boxed the y. Now we're moving the opposite of x over here. So that's 4y. Make sure your 4 actually looks like a 4 and not like a y. Mine looked a little funny. We kept the negative 24 and we kept the minus 3. I'm dividing everything by 4. Divide everything by 4. Divide everything by 4. So y equals negative 6. And this right here, I'm going to see if it reduces. Let me show you. I'm not sure. Okay, well, let me show you how this became a 6. That's negative 24 on top divided by 4. It became a negative 6. Now I'm going to put this part in. Negative 3 divided by 4. Notice I did not put the x in here because you can't put the x in the regular math part of the calculator. So I'm going to press enter. It gives me a decimal. Remember the steps. Math, enter, enter will tell you how to reduce it. Oh, this means it doesn't need to get reduced. Okay. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something that has a y-intercept at negative 6. So A, yeah, it touches at negative 6. B touches at negative 6. So I'm sorry. This is A, B. That's C touches at negative 6. A touches, but B could not be it because it touches at a plus 6. So it's either A, C, or D. I'm looking for a negative 3 over 4 slope. Negative means that from here, I should be able to go down 3 over 4 and find a point. Down 3 over 4, no. This does not have a negative slope. This is actually a positive slope. This one here, if I go down 3 over 4, yep, that looks like that could be it, but let me make sure this one's not. This is another positive slope. That's not what I needed. I needed a negative slope. So the answer is C. Okay. And that's it. Hope you took some notes so you can get some extra credit. Have a good day.